we knock on doors and ask people, do you even know what congressional district you're in? Do you even know who your member of Congress is? And when you draw these crazy lines and then redraw these crazy lines, real regular people are, of course, the victim of this. It's harder to get representation. It's harder to cast a meaningful vote when you're taken and put into a district and taken out of a district, when towns are cut into pieces.
To the states, and a political battle between two of the US's most populous states, California and Texas, a battle that could have a major impact on next year's midterm elections. Earlier this week, Texas passed a redistricting measure to create 5 more congressional seats, while yesterday California hit back, voting to redraw its state maps. The move in Texas should benefit Republicans, while Democrats would benefit from the move in California. But could such gerrymandering just go on? And what could the overall impact be? Let's speak to David Niven, a professor of political science at the University of Cincinnati in Ohio. David, hello, welcome to the program.
It's my pleasure to join you.
Thank you. Now, gerrymandering has always gone on, not just in your country, in this country too, especially at the local and regional level. But this feels different in the States this time. How different is it?
It's very different in the sense that there are now almost no limits. We've been pushing those limits for a long time, but now we've seemingly reached the moment of no limits. And Texas has played some games with line drawing in the past, but this is the first time they've tried to coordinate it at a national level to really bump the Republican Party and almost shape the nation's politics from within Texas.
What are the rules about when and how redistricting can legitimately take place?
Well, the premise of drawing these districts is to do it every 10 years after the U.S. conducts its census, its count of everyone in the country. And that's been so regularly conducted that, for the most part, laws weren't passed to codify that it should be every 10 years. It's simply, there was no reason to do otherwise. The entire process starts with that census data. The census, it's written into the Constitution, takes place every 10 years. And so what's changed here are a couple things. This is not every 10 years. The districts aren't due to be redrawn until 2031, but Texas has inserted itself into a certain amount of desperation on the part of the Trump administration that they not lose the U.S. House of Representatives and expose themselves to a Democratic-led body that might start asking questions, because our houses of Congress have full investigatory powers. They can operate almost as a court and could very well make life miserable for the Trump administration.
You're in Cincinnati, Ohio, a state that's going to redraw its map, just like California has done. What's the mood there? And if every state in the union does this between now and the midterms in November 2026, how might it affect the results?
Well, you're right. This does ultimately become a state-by-state tug of war. Texas acts first. California is acting to counter that. Then there'll be the question of, well, who will be the third state to act and the fourth state to act? One oddity in Ohio is Ohio law requires this map to be redrawn. Ohio may well be a part of the tug of war, but not for the same reason. In Ohio, if a map isn't drawn with bipartisan consensus, then the map only lasts 4 years. And the map under Ohio right now was drawn by Republicans and only by Republicans, so it has expired. Now, that doesn't mean, however, since they still control state politics, that they won't draw themselves a map that's even more favorable. But here's the practical problem for this strategy. There's only so many seats you can wring out of the process. In Ohio, for example, there's only 5 seats in Democratic hands right now. So even if the Republicans squeeze this, there's really only 1 or 2 more seats they could get out of Ohio.
Right. And just thinking about the mood in your state, I mean, do people feel, well, hang on, if this district gets redrawn, I'm going to be disenfranchised, because David, you and I have been talking about this really from the top down, from the federal government and the state government. But what about people on the ground who might think that their vote no longer counts as much as it used to?
Well, you're right. That's a very real issue here. And that's actually something I do some research on. And I've had occasion to walk down the district lines between two districts, occasionally bring a reporter with me. We knock on doors and ask people, do you even know what congressional district you're in? Do you even know who your member of Congress is? And when you draw these crazy lines and then redraw these crazy lines, real regular people are, of course, the victim of this. It's harder to get representation. It's harder to cast a meaningful vote when you're taken and put into a district and taken out of a district, when towns are cut into pieces and the like. And so really the mood in Ohio, I think, like that movie Groundhog Day, we've been in a perpetual redistricting battle in Ohio for some time. And I think, a sense of resignation among voters that this just never seems to end.
And I guess when redistricting is done, it's not it's not influential, wealthy people whose vote gets diminished. It's people who are marginalized, probably minorities, people from communities whose voice doesn't count as much.
Well, you're exactly right. That's been one of the more pernicious aspects of the gerrymandering process is, who pays the price. And, what we've seen certainly in Ohio is, minority communities have paid the price in terms of being isolated, from the rest of the city they live in, the rest of the community they're a part of. And that was certainly a major defining part of Cincinnati's districts in the past, where you see that neighborhoods that were wealthier and whiter were kept intact, and neighborhoods that were not were split into pieces.
David, thank you very much for your expertise. That's David Niven, Professor of Political Science at the University of Cincinnati. That's in Ohio.
Will we say that the voters just couldn't be trusted to make a hard, complicated decision like this? No. This is what this vote is about. Let the voters make the decision. We've heard them, and we are responding, and they are the ultimate judges of whether this is the right way forward. The voters of California are sovereign, regardless of Article J. They are sovereign. They have the authority, they have the legitimacy, and with ACA, they will have the power to make this right. Madam President, I urge an aye vote.
Thank you. Secretary, please call the roll.
Allen.
Ayes 30, noes 8. That measure passes. Thank you. Seeing no further discussion or debate, Senator Cervantes, would you like to close?
Thank you, Madam President. On November 4th, Californians have a choice. Let Trump cheat or punch back. Take back your agency. Take it back at the ballot box. Take it back for California and for the country.
Ayes 30, noes 8 on the urgency. Ayes 30, noes 8 on the amendments. Assembly amendments are concurred in. Members, we are going to move back to motions and resolutions. There are floor amendments to AB 40 at the desk. Senator McGuire, are you prepared to make these amendments?
Colleagues, I am very proud to ask you for your aye vote today for AB 604.